The drive to the old house took longer than I expected. The path was overgrown, and the dense forest made it feel like I was venturing into another world. As I approached, the setting sun cast elongated shadows, making the house appear more like a relic of the past than a part of the present. I had inherited this place from an uncle I barely remembered. The letter from the lawyer had been brief, only mentioning that I was the sole beneficiary of this ancient family property. It piqued my curiosity. Why me? And why had no one in the family ever mentioned it? The front door creaked loudly as I pushed it open. The house smelled of age, dust, and secrets. I wandered through the rooms, each one filled with old furniture draped in white sheets. The atmosphere was still, yet there was an undercurrent of energy, as if the house had been waiting for me. In what looked like a study, I found a narrow staircase leading upwards. Drawn by an inexplicable urge, I decided to explore. At the top was an attic. The dim light filtered through a cracked window, revealing a chest in the corner. I moved closer, my fingers brushing against the layers of dust that had settled on it. There was an allure to it, a siren call I couldn't resist. With some effort, I pried the chest open. Inside, among other memorabilia, was a diary. Its worn leather cover felt soft under my fingers, the word confessions faintly visible. I hesitated for a moment, then began to read. The diary started innocuously, describing the daily life in a convent. There were mentions of prayers, chores, and the occasional festivity. But as I continued, the tone shifted. Scribbled notes in the margins spoke of forbidden rituals and sacrifices. It was as if I was peeling back layers, delving deeper into the psyche of its writer. The nun, it seemed, was being drawn into something dark and consuming. As night began to fall, the room darkened, but I was too engrossed to notice. The diary's words seemed to come alive, echoing in the silence of the house. It was only when a soft whisper broke the stillness that I looked up. The attic was bathed in shadows, and a chill ran down my spine. Had I just imagined it? Or was there something in the house with me? I clutched the diary close, its presence both a comfort and a curse. The whispers grew louder, now a cacophony of voices from the past. The weight of the house's history pressed down on me, and I felt an overwhelming urge to flee. But the diary, it held answers, secrets that beckoned me to stay. Determined, I decided to spend the night in the house. There was more to discover, more to understand. With the diary by my side, I descended the narrow staircase, unaware that I was stepping deeper into a world of shadows and forgotten sins. The night's silence was shattered by a haunting whisper. It wasn't just in my head. The soft, eerie voices seemed to be seeping through the walls of the old house. I sat up, my heart pounding, the diary clutched tightly in my hand. I'd been reading it for hours, lost in the world of the convent and the nun's confessions. Her words painted vivid images of candlelit corridors, secret rituals, and a growing darkness that threatened to consume her. But now, with the whispers growing louder, the diary's world was bleeding into my reality. Curiosity propelled me out of bed. The sound seemed to be coming from below, drawing me down the creaky staircase. Each step I took felt like an eternity, the weight of the house's history pressing down on me. The chanting grew clearer as I approached the basement door. A chill ran down my spine. I hadn't ventured down there since I'd arrived. Why would I? It was just an old, musty basement. But now, the door stood slightly ajar, a sliver of flickering light escaping from the gap. Swallowing my apprehension, I pushed the door open. The sight before me made my blood run cold. A circle of candles, their flames dancing wildly, illuminated the basement. In the center lay the diary, its pages fluttering as if caught in an unseen breeze. Drawn like a moth to a flame, I stepped into the circle. The whispers grew frenzied, forming a cacophony of voices. Some pleaded, some warned, while others laughed menacingly. I tried to shut them out, focusing on the diary. Its once blank pages were now filled with hurried, frantic writing. The latest entry spoke of the ritual, of a promise made, and a price to be paid. The nun's words became desperate, her sentences fragmented, as if she was writing in a trance or under duress. I called to him, and he answered. One line read, "But the cost, oh, the cost." Suddenly, a gust of wind surged through the basement, extinguishing the candles. Darkness enveloped me, and I felt a presence, something ancient and malevolent. Panic set in. I fumbled for matches, anything to relight the candles. When I finally managed to ignite one, the basement was empty, the diary's pages blank once more. The weight of what I'd witnessed pressed down on me. The house, the diary, the ritual, it was all connected. And I was now a part of it. The whispers had ceased, but their message was clear. I was entangled in a web of darkness, a story that had begun centuries ago with a nun's desperate plea. With the dawn's first light, I made a decision. I had to uncover the truth, to break the cycle. The historian in town might have answers. Clutching the diary, I left the house, determined to unravel its mysteries. But as I drove away, I couldn't shake the feeling that the spirits of the past were watching, waiting for my return. The sun's last rays vanished, surrendering the world to the encompassing night. I stood outside the house, the weight of the diary heavy in my hand, its secrets even heavier in my mind. The air was thick with anticipation, and a chill ran down my spine, as if the house itself was beckoning me back to complete what had been started centuries ago. The diary, which had remained silent since those blank pages, now seemed to pulse with life. I opened it once more, and words began to form on the once empty pages, guiding me step by step. It wasn't mere reading, it was a call, a siren song that I couldn't resist. I made my way to the basement, guided only by the soft, eerie glow of the moonlight filtering through the cracks. The circle of candles stood there, just as I had found them the previous night. But now, they ignited on their own, casting dancing shadows on the walls. The whispers grew louder, a chorus of voices from the past, chanting in a language long forgotten. Closing my eyes, I began to recite the words from the diary. The temperature dropped, and the air grew dense. The whispers intensified. No longer just echoes, but voices urging me to continue, to seal my fate. Halfway through the ritual, a realization struck me like a bolt of lightning. The diary wasn't just a vessel for the nun's memories. It was a trap, a snare that had ensnared its reader, guiding them, luring them to reenact a very ritual that had consumed its original writer. I tried to break free, to stop the words spilling from my lips, but it was as if another force controlled me. The room began to spin, the chants growing deafening. Shadows formed around me, figures from the past bearing witness to the ritual. At the center stood the silhouette of the nun, her eyes hollow, yet filled with a desperate yearning. As the final words left my lips, a blinding light enveloped the room. The weight in my chest grew unbearable, the very essence of my being pulled towards the diary. I felt a connection, a bridge between the past and the present, between the nun and me. Her sins, her desires, her regrets all became mine. The morning sun filtered through the windows, casting the old house in a new light. Silence reigned supreme. The diary lay open on the ground, its pages filled with the tales of the past, waiting for its next reader. The house stood, as it always had, a sentinel to the secrets it held within, and outside, the world remained oblivious to the soul it had claimed the previous night.